Hey, what's up YouTube? So today is Saturday. It's about 8:45 in the morning. I'm on call and I'm heading to my very first service call. So anyway, stick around guys. I'll bring you along for the ride, show you what I can, and see if we can't learn something together today, all right? There's our issue. There's our two thermostats. This one, I believe, is connected to the system that heats the front of the store. This one is connected to the system at the back of the store. The problem is both thermostats are back here at the back of the store, and neither one of these have a sensor hooked up to the zone that they control. So what's happening is the systems are overheating the spaces and they're overcompensating just so the heat will eventually reach these thermostats and then shut off. So what we need to do is go back to the energy management company that just recently took over this location, and we need to have them give us some zone sensors that we can connect to their system. Here's one of our problematic issues, is the grooming area. There should be a zone sensor in there. I think that's what I'm going to recommend. They put a zone sensor in there. And then over here, I think we'll try to put a zone sensor maybe right where that pole is going up in the ceiling. I don't want to put it on an exterior wall, so that would probably give me a good sense of a good average temperature of the front of the store. Right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get up on the roof and just inspect our rooftop units, make sure heat exchangers are good, and maybe get an idea of what other kind of control system they have for this location. So anyway, here's our American Standard Trane looking unit, right? And I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I'm still going to pull this middle panel off, check my belt, pull the opposite panel off, check the heat exchanger. This unit doesn't look that old, so I probably won't find any cracks in it, but just to make sure we cover all our bases, we're going to go for that big picture diagnosis. Real quick tech tip, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but these Trane labels, they wash out in the sun, you know, in about 17 minutes after it's installed. But if you go over here to our main control panel, take that off and flip it around, there's a secondary data tag that's on there. So again, I'm sure a majority of you guys know that. Here's our other unit, RTU number 2. Judging by the size of this one, I'm assuming this is what controls the heat and cooling for the showroom part of the store. And we're going to do the same thing. Double check that belt, that heat exchanger. Even though this unit's fairly new, I'm sure I won't find any issues, but we're going to do that just to be sure. Air filters look okay. Belt looks pretty good. I don't feel any major wear marks on this pulley, so that doesn't concern me whatsoever. Our heat exchanger doesn't look the healthiest though. Given the overall age of the unit, I was kind of expecting the heat exchanger to look a little bit better. So I think what I might do is double check my incoming gas pressure just to make sure the unit's not overfiring, or make sure, you know, we don't have high gas pressure causing the unit to overfire. But I don't see any actual cracks. There's some spots that look unhealthy, but yeah, I kind of poked them with my screwdriver. I didn't get any actual separation, any holes or anything like that. So I'm not going to lock it out, red tag it, shut it down, all that stuff, but I am going to quote to replace this heat exchanger. And then also what I'm going to do is we'll do a quick CO2 test in the building. I'll just walk around with my CO2 detector, see if I get any hits anywhere. All right, I got my gas on, manometer is hooked up, and right now we are sitting at about 7 inches of water column. Let's fire it up and see what happens. That was terrifying. Yeah, we're still sitting at about 7 inches of water column. Shut this off. Turn our gas back off real quick. Check out some numbers on this valve just to make sure. Regulator, 3.3 inches of water column. So, according to my calculations, we have a little bit too much gas pressure going in there, so I believe we are overfiring. We are at our second rooftop unit here. There's our heat exchanger. Not as bad as the first one. Again, given the age of the unit, I did expect it to look better. So let's go over here to our gas valve. Now the way this gas valve is designed, there's our outlet pressure testing port, and our inlet pressure testing port is right back here, right next to this elbow, where we really don't have any logical access to. I could access it, but I'd have to take the gas line off and then move things around and sort of reconnect it so I can actually get in there, remove that little Allen key, that little plug, and get my manometer on there. But that's not realistic in this situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this plug out, just check our outgoing gas pressure, assuming our gas valve works, which again, assuming it works because our store is overheating due to trying to compensate for this thermostat. So assuming our gas valve works, I'm just going to test our pressure right there and see if it's comparable to that unit, which was measuring about 7 water column inches. While I'm waiting for my heat to come on, you'll notice on this transformer, we are on the 230 volt tap. But if we measure the voltage going to it, we're closer to 208. We're at 212. So that'll make our outgoing voltage 23 volts. And a lot of these control boards want 24 to 26 volts. So we'll have to swap that tap around and just put it on the 208 tap. I'll double check that one because I didn't check it initially. As you can tell, I got a mess of jumpers on there. We're going to kick it into stage 2 real quick. Double check my voltage here. 212. I'm on the 208 tap now. And we're at 26 volts. Much better. So whoever installed this apparently didn't commission it properly or just overlooked that. It happens. So let's wait for our stage 2 to kick on and see what kind of gas pressure we got. Well, this unit doesn't seem to have that same problem that the unit over there has. If anything, we're a little bit lower under gas pressure, but according to my calculations, we are in stage 2 heat. So I'm not as concerned about this unit. I'm back at this first unit, and our pressure isn't as high as it originally was. Remember, we were up around 7, and now we are closer to the range that we wanted to, the acceptable range of approximately 3.5. So I'm just going to assume that we have a regulator issue or a gas pressure issue coming into the building. And on this particular building, I don't have access to the regulators, no way to check them. So I'm going to have to turn that over to the landlord. But just thought I'd point that out real quick. All right, guys, I'm going to call myself out on something real quick. Now, that second test we did, I was actually on this port right here, our outgoing gas port. And I was measuring close 3.8, maybe 4 inches of water column. And our first test was back here where my Allen key is. And we were measuring closer to 7, sometimes 8, which I assumed was too high. And based on the condition of the heat exchanger and the way the flame looked, in my opinion, we were overfiring. But our outgoing gas pressure to the burner actually wasn't that bad. It was, like I said, 3.8, maybe 4. So I busted out the manual just to double check a couple things, just to see what our maximum supply gas pressure can be. And it says right here that the maximum gas supply is 14 inches of water column. And we were just about half of that, 7, almost 8. And our minimum manifold gas pressure is 3.3. So according to this, I think we're fine. I guess we don't have a incoming gas pressure issue like I assumed. That just makes me wonder now why my heat exchanger looks like that. I guess chalk it up to poor design, maybe. Possibly even airflow, of course. I don't have access to the ceiling to look at all the ductwork right now, but that'll have to be something I double check when we come back and run a new zone sensor. We'll have to double check the ductwork, see if I can get in there, maybe do a little bit of a static test on it. But our heat exchanger looks like garbage. I'm still going to quote for that. We don't have a high gas pressure situation like I thought we did. So we're going to leave it at that.